Hi there, this is David and welcome to the Wild Arms series ranked from worst to best. This is a series near and dear to my heart, beginning on the PlayStation, and unfortunately, ending on the PlayStation 2. Here, we're going to be covering all 6 Wild Arms games, including Wild Arms XF on the PSP. If you'd like to see some other long-running series ranked, please check the video description for links. And with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started. Number 6, Wild Arms 3. It may seem oxymoronic, but the main issue that I have with this game is that it's just too long, and the ridiculously slow random battles don't help matters in the slightest. In the previous games, your guys could just kinda sit there and attack, but here they now run around the field constantly, and every single spell, animation, or attack has to be shown every single time. Also, as you're exploring Fulgaia, it's just as much of a shithole as ever, but this time, there's not even any water or trees. I know that they were going for a barren Fulgaia, but that doesn't exactly make for an exciting setting. I like my JRPGs bright, full of life, and color. Not like this. Then there's the mediums. Each of them can teach you specific skills, but you'd better put those skills in the right mediums the first time around, because once you make a decision, you're stuck with it. There's just so many design decisions that do nothing but frustrate you and drag it all out. Kind of like the search system, where you have to scour every last inch of the world to find the next destination. But if you don't talk to the right person in the right town, you'll never actually find what you're looking for. If anything, this game just needs a re-release with a little bit of quality of life improvements. Number 5, Wild Arms 2. Story time! When I first started this channel and began making top 10 lists, I ranked this game pretty highly on my top 10 PlayStation RPGs list, mostly because I remembered it as being better than Wild Arms 1. However, after I went back and I Let's Played both of them on the channel, I changed my mind. This is still a good game, but it wasn't as good as I remembered it, and I'm a big boy. I can admit whenever I change my mind, and that is okay. Wild Arms 2 builds off of the first game, adding a lot to it, such as 6 characters, a larger world, and a more intricate story. But at the same time, it's marred by a horrible translation, one of the worst that I've ever seen, and the addition of the much maligned search system. I hated it then, and I still hate it now, but I guess the developers are just stubborn or something because they never did get rid of it. Don't get me wrong here, I'm not saying that this is a bad game, because it is a lot of fun, but there are some small annoyances that hinder the entire experience. That all being said though, if you are a fan of traditional RPGs like the early Final Fantasies, I would definitely play this one, because I do feel like it's the most mainstream of the entire series. Number 4, Wild Arms XF. As the only Gaiden or side story in the series, it is a stark departure from the rest of it all, mostly because this is now a strategy RPG, and also, it includes a job system. This one though, it's not your typical Fire Emblem type strategy game, it's more of a Final Fantasy Tactics strategy game. There is a robust job system, tons of different characters to play around with, and a unique take on the battlefield using hexes instead of squares. This game does get a bad rep because there are a few battles in the first chapter where everyone has to be a certain job to move on, but once you get past the first few hours, most of all that falls to the wayside, and it is nice for the objectives to be something other than defeat all enemies. And also, there's Edna. Best character ever. She's one of the major villains of the story, and she's just funny as hell. She single-handedly raised this game out of mediocrity, because while your characters drone on with typical JRPG teenage angst, Edna is busy kicking ass and taking names. This frog-faced drag queen bitch on wheels takes no prisoners and gives no fucks. And personally, I aspire to be more like her. Number 3, Wild Arms 4. Many of you aren't going to agree with this placement here. More than likely you probably thought that this game would be in last place, but I'm ranking them and I like it, so deal with it. It's easily the shortest game in the entire franchise, lasting only about 20 hours, and it ditched the world map too, which normally I would hate. But here, it's a blessing in disguise, because that means that the wretched search system is gone too. Unfortunately, the scenario system has been nixed in favor of a quick beginning, but Who cares when the absolutely wonderful, game-changing hex battle system has been introduced? Battles are turn-based, but they take place on a 7-hex grid, and instead of attacking the enemies or healing your allies, you instead target the hexes. I love this battle system, and honestly, I would totally buy like a remake compilation of the entire series with the system fully implemented. For those of you looking to get into the series, I would highly recommend starting with this one, because it's not only the shortest, but it's also the easiest with the ridiculously overpowered Raquel just intruding everything left and right. Number 2, Wild Arms 1 as well as Wild Arms Alter Code F. Alter Code F is included here with the first game because it is a PS2 remake of the original with tons of additional content. I mean, imagine that! There was a time that Sony was so invested in this series that they went and remade the first one for the next generation. Nowadays, we just have to beg and plead to be thrown scraps, but I digress. There is beauty in the first game's simplicity. The battle system's fast, there's no stupid search system bogging everything down, and the storyline is interesting and unique. Or at least it was for its time. I mean, it began with a scenario system, and the setting in the Wild West, it definitely stood apart from its peers. Also, the characters that join up each have unique abilities, from Jack's fast draws to Rudy's gun to Cecilia's truly innovative crest magic. Let me take a moment to gush over this system because I love it. Basically, there are 4 elements, and you can combine them together to create different spells for each school of magic. It really makes you think about what spells you'll need for each dungeon, and you get genuinely excited whenever you find a new crest graph. I wish more games used a system similar to this because it was a blast planning out how I wanted her to grow. And finally, number 1, Wild Arms 5. This is the last game in the mainline series, and also my favorite by a pretty clear margin. The hex battle system is thankfully back, but unfortunately, the god-awful search system is back too. Which is a shame because the world map is absolutely huge and a joy to explore. It's not just some 2D expanse, it is truly a living, breathing world. And while it does take place on the dying Fulgaia, you would be excused to forget all about it because there's only a scant few places that look wild western. Most of it is green, lush, and full of life, as well as full of treasures. As a nod to the second game, you have 6 party members, though for the most part, they're all carbon copies of each other because of the class system. Basically, only 4 classes out of the 6 are actually worth a damn, and Carol and Chuck can just go die in a fire because they're both completely useless too, and just annoying. But that's really the only downside. The storyline focusing on racism is well told, the battle system is fluid and fun, and the dungeons are fun and complex. There is a lot here, including bonus dungeons, optional quests, super hidden bosses, and even cameos of past heroes. This game was designed as a 10th anniversary celebration of the series, so at least the franchise did go out with a bang. Well, that's it for the Wild Arms series, ranked. Which games are your favorite? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments, and if you like this video and what I do here on the channel, please consider supporting me on Patreon for exclusive videos and early access to my top 10s. The link to it can be found in the video description. This has been David. If you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.